You've got crafty clothes, we'd quite like to see those as well. Any hedgehogs with very high IQs?
Anyway.
Dressed in crafty clothes.
Over the years, the watchers have inspired many of you to put up nest boxes and install cameras in them, and for some of you it's become a real passion. One such person is Kate McRae, who over the years we've featured many times because she made a fantastic mini spring watch in her garden. Well, in recent years she's taken her talent and her passion to a much larger site in Worcestershire.
So about 10 years ago, an artificial set was put in on the site. The trail cameras showed that the badgers were actually using that. So then I started to think, oh, wouldn't it be really amazing if we could actually see what happened inside? About 3 days to build the set. We created 2 large chambers out of sleepers with 2 entrances. Their main set is in the woodland, about half a mile from here. Badgers often have an annex or a satellite set that is some distance from the main set. And nobody really knows completely how those are used because it's very rarely filmed and documented. So these badgers are using the 2 sets we've got on site, and then I'm able to film how they're using them. There were youngsters visiting, and then I was amazed to see a female coming, but she wasn't on her own, she actually bought a cub. So she would have given birth possibly in another annex set if she wasn't the dominant female, and then brought her cub then to this space. And then she suckled that cub within our chamber. It wasn't just youngsters coming. We had a very elderly female come into the set who visited over a month period. She was very, very frail looking. Often the weaker members would be ousted out of the main set, at which point they would use satellite sets, and this was what was happening here. One night, she snuggled down in all the hay, her breathing got slower and slower, and she actually died within that chamber. There were multiple invertebrates, beetles and all sorts, and flies came into that set, and I could see the body beginning to break down. The cameras then went down due to a power cut. When I turned the cameras back on about a week later, the whole body was covered in soil, and I can only presume that the other badgers came in and covered her body to ensure that the corpse would not contaminate the whole set. We don't know if that happens in the wild, but it makes complete sense. But to me, that is incredible because we've possibly filmed something that's never been seen before. There is an absolutely incredible amount of wildlife here, and I don't think we really appreciated it until we started to film. Things like a polecat, we've captured footage of them both inside our sets and outside. They're a species that you don't often see in the wild, but it's fantastic to know that they're we filmed sparrowhawk catching a bat on our kingfisher post. Every now and then you just get a piece of footage that blows your mind. I love the changing of the seasons here, particularly when we move out of the summer into the autumn. As the leaves start turning, the site is just full of natural food. There's a lot of berries and fruit, and we start to see other species coming in. The kingfisher often hunt here, but in the autumn and the winter, especially when the river levels rise, they start to come more to our wildlife ponds. The badgers start to pull down hay and straw and grass, ready for the winter months where they're going to be snuggled up deep underground. I don't think I'll ever finish with projects at UView. The phrase, "find a job you love and you'll never work again," comes to mind. UView has become my second home. I can quite honestly say it is the best job in the world.
Fantastic, intimate pictures. I remember when Kate used to do things with kitchen implements. Do you remember?
In a garden,
Years ago in a garden.
birds.
She's gone large now. But interesting, she said that in the wild, people don't know whether badgers actually bury their dead like that. But there have been many reports, haven't there? 1942, Brian Vesey Fitzgerald, and he saw, incredibly, a female badger, and she made an odd call. A male joined her, and the two of them dragged the body, a dead body of a badger, out of the set, and then buried it in a rabbit warren. And he watched all of that. But that's not a proper sort of funeral as we'd understand it,
No,
is
but
it,
there's
Chris?
obviously no sentimentality involved. We spoke to Dr. Chris Newman, actually, at Oxford University, and he suggested there were three very good reasons why badgers would do this. Firstly, hygiene, of course, and secondly, that if a badger starts to decompose in the set, it would bring in all potential predators. And in other parts of Europe, that still includes bear and lynx and wolf, which would dig out the badgers and harm them. And then lastly, of course, it would be smelling, it would be rotting. And badgers have got such a keen sense of smell, they wouldn't really want to be locked in a series of small chambers with something that was absolutely stinking like that. So it makes sense that it would happen.
Their grandpa or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a shame the cameras went off, but we have got an update from Kate. And although the mother and cub moved out of that set, there has been a little bit of action just outside the set, with two individuals doing what's called anal rubbing.
Ah.
Let's have a look at that. Before they get to the anal bit, they have a little cuddle, and then you can see this is exactly what they're doing. They're scent marking each other, and they do that when it's individuals in the same clan.
Gosh, isn't that fascinating? Now, Michaela, interestingly, they've got a number of anal glands. It's not just the ones that produce really nasty, pungent smells. They've got a second set of anal glands specifically for anal rubbing, and they're much sweeter, and they give the whole scent of the set. Isn't that lovely? A bit of anal
Each
rubbing
scent
there.
is
Lovely,
individual
that.
to the animal, so they can recognise themselves individually through these scents.
Isn't that lovely? How absolutely delicious. Shall we have a quick look at the badgers that we've managed to film on the thermal camera during this programme? There's a badger. Any anal rubbing? Takes two to anal rub.
It does, you
Doesn't
can't
it? So you
just
can't do it on
by
your own.
yourself.
No. No.
But you could do it if you're marking your territory, of course.
You might well, yeah, good point.
You might
Very
do a
good
little
point.
bit of anal
Yeah,
rubbing
yeah.
then.